Hi, Gemini. Sun, moon, and rising. I'm Susan. I'm your intuitive, and I'm here to bring you your love and money intuitive astrology tarot reading for the month of May 2025. It's Taurus season. A lot is going on in your 12th house for Gemini risings. And honestly, I hadn't thought too much about this or put too much weight on this until now about the Pluto transit from your 8th house to your 9th house for Gemini rising. So we will talk about that a bit, even if it doesn't come out in the spread. We're going to do money or love first. Maybe money first? Let's do love first. Let's do love, and then we'll get into money and talk about everything. The reason why I bring that up, and I'm just going to bring it up and talk about it now with this King of Swords here, is that Gemini rising specifically, but Gemini sun and moon, if you have felt this way at all, obviously this reading's for you. The Pluto transit from your 8th to your 9th house. The 8th house is one of the heavy houses. That's what I call them. There's just a lot to that house, a lot that you're working through, including deep healing, including money, including your mental health and any death. Right? There's just, and this is this transformation in the masculinity. And it's possible that Gemini, you may have felt very protective of yourself for a while, or you're perhaps with someone or attract people that you prefer can protect you, maybe. Either way, this is a transformation in the mind about love. This is a transformation in your masculine side of you, because as an air sign, there is a masculinity to you, of course. Could be in many different ways. But I think there is something about this card showing up first, is that right now you're very discerning. You may be in a very discerning place with your energy. And we have another sword card. We have the Knight of Swords with the 3 of Cups. It sounds very important for you to be discerning, and the main reason is because it looks like if you felt like that naturally or something came over you as of recently, especially the transits all in Aries for Gemini risings for your 11th house is like the people, your community. For some of you, you're second guessing the communities that you've been involved in, perhaps the one, if you've created it, if you're in a job, that could also be your community. You're just your wider spread of people, not so much the people that you keep close to you, but the layers of relationships that you have, including money as well. And the 3 of Cups is a few things, but here we have the 3 of Wands at the bottom. And what I'm going to say about this is that if there are people that you've been second guessing for a while, or situations you've been going back and forth with for a while, it's time to get decisive. And Venus is, and everything in Aries, Venus, Neptune, Mercury, that's why they're bringing this to the forefront of your brain. And if we learn to use the transits in the best way possible, and even if you're not a Gemini rising, this is about you being very discerning about whom you're around. And are you only around people so that you, do you like being combative? Do you need to have something to say? Are you feeling like more aggressive, right? A lot's going on in your 12th house, and it has been for a while. So in either way, it's maybe caused you to find this certain way of expressing, if it's subconsciously something you can't normally express, and so it comes out in another way, which means you could be attracting these kinds of people in these kinds of situations. If this is love related, maybe people who don't want to just commit to you, and if you're in, or you're wanting to be able to explore more options at this time, and you're only finding people that commit to you. So if that's something that you're noticing, right? If you're in relation and you're like the solid couple, but there's like third party things, and that could mean like cheating as well. So if there's things going on or that you're sniffing out, you might just be right. And at first for you, it's about it could be about the hunt right now, or it could be about this is something I just have to figure out. But really, once you realize what it's about, if it is something negative in your life that's happening and occurring, you're addressing it differently. There is a stern aggression. There is this is about resolving this pattern, because even if this is something that you have brought into your life because of your energy, you're no longer looking for that. You realize that it's possible that it kept you tied from your worth for a very long time. Or it's the only way you knew how to do something, or it's a pattern, right? We're all really learning about our patterns right now, and that's why I'm bringing out all these cards, is because whatever it is that you're addressing, it's the part of, so like this can even happen within ourselves, right? So I'm going to bring this down to how could have been happening with you personally, internally for a while. So there's this part of you that is discerning. There's this part of you that's super masculine, that you know what you want, you know what you want to go after. You feel very strong and capable, yet we all have a parental figure in our life some way, whether they were present or not, and that will show up within you. Eventually you'll realize, even if you've tried and done so many things and thought you got away from it, it's most likely that you didn't, and you have to come back to that version of your parent and become the parent. This is the reprogramming, become the parent you didn't have for yourself. You'll also see your relationships transform, but you're seeing in the way of like whatever you used to tolerate amongst people, and because people are people and you've done some dumb shit as well, but it seems as though that like you've been working out of that way for quite some time, and you're finally done with it. You're finally like, I've seen enough of other people's lives, or I've had enough of other experience to know that like this is not where I want my drama anymore. Like this is not the area where that needs to happen. And matter of fact, it's actually keeping me tied up to my worth. I keep walking into this like spider web trap all over again. So if this is within you, you're addressing that, and that's why there's a groundedness to your mentality. And maybe Pluto's really good for you to go retrograde in the 9th house, because it's the way you think, it's publishing, it's astrology. It's going to make you rethink the steps that you're taking, because we are headed into your birthday month. So also happy birthday, happy early birthday to you Geminis out there. And regardless, this is what's bringing you. 3s are about communication, transformation, artistry. This is bringing you to, even if you've done all of that, this is bringing you to a deeper connection within whatever you're creating within relationships. So if you are in a relationship and you're able to move forward, whether together or apart, that's the whole point right now, is to figure out what it is that you really want and what it is you're willing to tolerate. And do you feel like, going through this trust issue with this person, and even if you've been with them for some time, it doesn't look like you have been, but it could be someone that is like different face, similar person. And so you've technically kind of known them, but they're not the same person. And that's getting into a whole other conversation. This was just a little tangled. And it's the mentality of your worth in your mind. You know that you're worthy, but there's this connection that has needed to be made, because it needs your masculine energy to show up for this part of you, that even though people are human, this keeps coming up for a reason, and it needs you to address it. And if you are single, you will notice this through your dating experience. What you attract and what you start to attract at this time, because you will, is through your subconscious. We're in your sun signs in your 12th house. And if this is for moon and sun, same thing. You're still being asked, like, what are your standards now? What are you going to stick with? How many no's can you actually say before it's a yes? Right? Like, what's charity, and what are you, like, why can't you wait for, we're not going to pull those out. I'm going to keep shuffling with those, but like Jupiter in your sign Doesn't matter which, sun, moon, and rising for this. Jupiter in your sign for a year, retrograde back and forth. At this point, the exhaustion could make you feel like, okay, I'm just going to settle. No. It's moving out in a month. In your birthday season, mid-birthday season, Jupiter's finally moving out of your sign, and you'll be grateful that you didn't settle. You'll be so grateful you didn't settle. Especially for Gemini risings with Jupiter in your second house, going into your second house of self-worth, of skills, of your resources, right? And if you do, no shade, we're only human. If you do settle, you'll find out quickly if you want to stay or not. And then you'll think, I've only known this person for X amount of time, and be like, oh, no. I don't think so. One of those. We'll talk more about it in the second part, which I'm going to bring in right now. The second part will be in the first link, the Patreon link below. If you do subscribe, everything goes to your email, including this right here. And then my personal reading links. So I have my website, my schedule, and payment options are all below. Payment is due the moment of booking. So you can catch all of that there. Instagram, TikTok, where I do all the shorts. I do shorts on YouTube too. All Venusian Wave. At Venusian Wave for everything. Yeah. A lot to chat about. There's a lot transforming. And also if you're meeting someone through a friend, a mutual friend or something, don't be afraid if it doesn't go. Some friends... I wouldn't say friends are always the best people to find your partner, because a lot of times we attract contrast in relationships, which means we wouldn't be necessarily like that person. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Okay, so money. Coming out with the Kings, Gemini. This is a month where you have fun, but you get serious about it. You're like, it's almost my birthday. Like, I'm real serious about fun. You're getting very serious about it right now. And it's about security. And it's almost like you don't care what it takes to feel as secure as you possibly can right now. And like, I agree with you. There is a deeper sense of self with money. It's about your emotional security. And it's possible that someone does show up and matches that for you, and you see it. If you do see that in career, what I want you to know is that it's not obviously as simple. For money, it may be simpler for you with money than it is for love. And I have a feeling that you've been tested I know we've talked about it. I know you've had experience with both for quite some time, but especially very obviously in the past year. So if you're noticing money start to become easier, or what you've learned and continuing to move forward has gotten easier because you've learned, and you've learned to make it easier for yourself, perhaps. It's the same thing with love, but whichever one has been more difficult in abstract is, of course, going to be more difficult in abstract for each one of us. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Opportunities for more money, opportunities to grow. If you're in a certain company and you want to move forward in it or around in it, whatever, like into a different area, whatever it is, you're preparing yourself for that. And it's possible that you already have some opportunities flowing into your life during this season. And right now, the only thing I'm going to say is like, great, the coast is clear. You're clearing out. You really are clearing out with whatever's moving forward. Even if you don't say yes, you're noticing just the shifts and the change. And what I'm going to say to you is that even if you get excited and overly excited about something, don't be afraid to be excited. But what I want you to do is bring it down. And you're really good at this already, but sometimes air signs can get so caught up in the moment and like the excitement, which is really masking for desperation and sometimes it's settling. And right now the coast is clear. We have the Ace of Pentacles back at the bottom. For the coast is clear for you. And then we also have the Knight of Pentacles. The coast is clear. However, it's just be cautious. Be cautious. Be cautious from now until June. I forget exactly the date, but it's midway through June. Saturn is going to be very discerning too, and a little playful and a little funky moving into Aries. It's very ready. It's ready to move forward. So if something comes up now and by the end of May you're not feeling it, or you're starting to see whatever you didn't see before, or it's some subconscious programming that you realize like, oh, this is a pattern, I'm here to complete it now. If you can see it that way, you're here to complete this pattern, because this is something interesting that I've been thinking about and I want to bring up to you, especially if you're really good at shit, or you want to show an employer, you want to show off your skills. Be very discerning on how you choose to do that. Not right off the bat, because people can become very casual with you, which doesn't make them value you more. Just because there are some signs that if you could become like really chill with them, you know, and we've seen this in many movies and shows where like you work so hard to get this person's approval and then they're super chill with you. That is the way that you want to see it. But if you try to like do that right away, or you see in a boss, or you see in someone that you want to work with, a business partner, and you see this in like on the regular, where people get really chummy with you quick and think it's really like they find it cool to be nonchalant with you, and like that they don't have to do professionalism with you off the bat, that's a red flag. That's just like in love. You want to see if someone can be romantic, or whatever romance means to you. You want to see that vulnerability. You know, it's nice to be fun and casual, make people feel comfortable, but that's like also a default. And yeah, you could want to relax and have a great time, but right now the pressure is on for your change. So seeing and pulling back the power and realizing like, oh, this is, and I know you know this, but this is just a reiteration and something that I like to remind you, especially whenever like the sun's in your 12th house, Mercury is going to be going in your 12th house as well. And you may be finally ready to move forward in a different community, or change jobs. And it's just really important to be aware of how you're showing up and what state you're in on that day. Like, are you vulnerable in a way that can become like prey to codependency or whatever it is for you, of overachieving, right? Just to get approval or to become, you know, cool with whomever. That's actually not important right now. Right now is important to protect your security. So show up and do what's asked of you. You know, there's a time and place to do more, but I would pay attention to your surroundings and how people are being treated before jumping into anything, especially if you're someone who has multiple different avenues of income, multiple different places you go to. It's not just one place. This is a clear sign that there will be many opportunities, and it all just depends on like which road and the long road you want to go on. And you want to be very sure, because this actually, and we'll get into this into the second part more, the bottom of the deck, this clarifies that you could run into an old situation that makes you realize like that's not fulfillment. Like, yes, something that feels familiar, right? Especially if you're wanting to change from a pattern. If something feels familiar, it usually, especially if it's been a negative thing, it's usually a red flag of like, you need to change your behavior, and this is showing up for you to change your behavior. And if that doesn't change the external surroundings, because it does, or if you don't feel settled in that worth, it will show up and have you question to see if you're going to continue here. And it could lead you physically in the same place, in the same job, or the same kind of career. But for some of you, that actually means moving on. For some of you, there's just too much trauma, or there's too much shit where you have to move forward in a different place, which is, if you look into Gabor Mate's, he's been a physician forever. I love the way he talks. If you've never heard of him, it's just worth even listening to like one interview or his books or whatever it is that you choose to do. As someone who really is an elder in our society, as a physician who has started to see things more psychologically or somatically, of course, which is so important, especially for us air signs. Like, we need that somatic change, because you don't even know how much you're up here until you're highly, highly aware of your nervous system, and you're ruled by the nervous system. So I really feel like you need this a lot, where, it's talked about with people who come from addiction mainly, but this can be any deep pattern of trauma. It's possible that you can't change in the place that it started. So if you've been going through a lot and you've been at a certain place for a long time, you've been doing the same kind of job or whatever, it may be important to change physiology completely for those of you. And it doesn't make you less strong, it actually makes you strong to do that thing for yourself, just so you know. And I know you know that. And this is a time where, you're going to want to bring the swords out. And this is a great time to do it, because there is a lot of discernment you can bring this month to your life, to your money, and that will extend into your relationships and how you build them from here. Right? Everything, whether it's positive or negative, because you could be approached and like there's a part of you that maybe doesn't care, but it's giving you this opportunity to think, I actually just want to fucking move on. Like, it could just be as simple as that. Like, you're actually doing all right. You're working through whatever shit you've worked through, and you just presented an opportunity that just seems you're loyal, but it's also like you're loyal to the fact that you like to learn and grow. And like, what does that mean in terms of fulfillment now with who you are? And any kind of question like that is really helpful to bringing you forward at this point. And when Jupiter finally moves out of your sign, there will be a lot more relief, because you're not constantly learning about luck and growing and being pulled back and constricted. There will be more expansion, which is something. And there will be a long road ahead of you, which is Saturn finally moving into Aries. And there is a greater sense of self, regardless of what amazing thing you choose to do next. You're bringing this more cared for, understanding, even like more patient version of you. And I think that it is so important that you have this, and that shows worthiness. And regardless of what you say yes and no to this month, I just hope that each decision brings you closer to peace within your mind, within your choices. Because you bring a lot of abundance to the world in many different ways. And if you don't get to receive what you bring, you could be looking, you may not realize like what you bring into, what you pull into your life, or what your energy pulls in for you to learn next. And what if you could really learn this way of abundance with being abundant with people, and actually it's not about what you give to them and what they give to you, which is important. Like, it's great that you have people like that. Like, I'm not saying don't have people who can't bring stuff to the table, but like, is it always something specific, or is it just who they are and who you are? And mainly you seeing that, like them seeing that in you, not that what you can bring, but like really just you realizing that the people that you choose to be around, it will start to reflect in every area of your life, where you'll meet someone at work, or you'll meet someone who you do business well with, whatever it is, where you can recollect yourself and you're not always like extending different parts of you. So I'm really curious to get more into this with you. I'm going to pull from the bottom. We're going to talk more about the Knight of Pentacles, because this Knight of Swords could be like masking as the Knight of Pentacles, and that's why you need to be the King of Pentacles, so you can see that, because this person may say one thing but actually be a repeating pattern, but it looks like you catch it really quickly if they are. So either way, it looks like you're unattached because you're so dedicated to your life and to what you're doing, and how what you're doing affects the people that who can get close to you at this point, right? And affects, and that's the money as well, like what kind of business you want to do, because I know you're going to want to do some business this year. Uranus is going into your sign. There's going to be ideas, things that, you know, failure and risks, and, you know, you're going to fail and you're going to get up and you're going to bet. There's the kind of chaos that you thrive in, but even for you can become overwhelming too. So that's why it can get really, it can get wild. So that's why I think being grounded and like really feeling into Taurus season this year will be good for you. So we're just starting May, but we're getting through Taurus season right now, and then we're gonna enter your season. So I hope that you see what you need to and care for yourself in the ways that you need to, Gemini, especially for your brain. And if you need to get some shit off your chest, it's a great time to do so. Even if that means asking for more, right? Like that doesn't have to just mean like confessions or like truths. It's just like, no, this is what I want. And instead of spending energy on telling people the truth, I'm going to focus on like putting that energy into what I want and how I want to go get it, and not let that push me there. Realize like that's what it is in its own place, and I'm going to get there because that's just trying to distract me. Okay? So more on love, more on money in the next part. All information is below, Gemini. Again, happy birthday, and we'll see you in your birthday month or season, I should say.